Hi guys, this is Klazart being another audio commentary, and this time I am commentating on Set 5 of the Shinhan Winners League between OnGameNet Sparkies and CJ Entis. Again, results will be spoiled if you haven't seen the previous games. Please watch them now, though probably the opening screens have probably spoiled the result for you already. Savior is on a roll. This is Destination. It's going to be Savior versus Yarnak. Savior is at the bottom part of the map, at the 6 o'clock position roughly, playing Zerg in white again. Meanwhile, Yellow is playing Zerg in red at the top of the map. So this is the last throw of the dice. So far, or I suppose Savior is more yellow than white, or cream more than white. It doesn't really matter what color he is. I suppose if he's cream, maybe he'll be looking to cream his opponents. Yes, I know that is a very pathetic joke, but there you have it. Yeah, Savior has been just looking shockingly good. The one thing that he's doing right now that we didn't see him do, obviously, when his form slumped, and the one thing that we saw him do even at the best and height of his abilities, which is what really makes me believe that this is going to be Savior's season. And I suspect that that's exactly what's written in Korean there on that little banner held by the... and looks like Yarnak's gone for his spawning pool first, but Savior's put the extractor down. So this is going to be interesting, especially considering this is a two-player map. I'm not really a huge fan of this map, Destination, because of the inherent imbalance, especially in Zerg versus Terran. But Zerg versus Zerg, it could possibly provide us for an interesting match, especially since both players' bases are known, and both players are going to have equal information when it comes to scouting. So Savior still hasn't started up his spawning pool, just about getting ready to start his spawning pool down now. And he's going to be well ahead of his opponent in his tech, because he's getting that gas very early on. It'll be interesting to see if maybe Savior tries something really clever, like getting some early speedlings or something like that, but I don't suspect he will, because of the fact that this is a map that you can defend fairly comfortably on early on. But yeah, I was talking about the one thing, and I cut myself off there, that Savior is doing so well. He is anticipating. So far, he has read every game perfectly. He has read his opponent's strategy down to a T. On the first game on Coliseum versus a Zerg opponent, Type B, he anticipated that Type B was gonna try and push in with links, considering that Savior hadn't had the scout, and that he would try and make a move that would be quite typical, and he prepared for it. He had exactly the right number of links to defend, and then obviously his micro and actual in-game play was supreme. So Yarnak with the 6 links out, just pushing out now. Savior should be in a comfortable position to defend this. Savior spotted those links now with his Overlord. He's already teching to lair, so Savior is way ahead in tech. And again, we're down to a similar sort of situation where we were in Coliseum, where Savior's going to have less units to defend with than his opponents. But I have a feeling it's just a question of whether Savior's going to get his timing right to get those links out to block and defend his ramp before Yarnak's links can get in there. Yarnak obviously relying heavily on trying to get that. And Saviour's links are out. Yarnak's links are through the bridge. They're just going to be coming up the Raj, and Savior's not going to be able to stop him. Savior just gets the links there in time. Savior's links arriving in the nick of time, but Yarnak's going to be able to force his links up the ramp. But unfortunately for Yarnak, Savior took out one of his links, so Savior had a link advantage, and Savior doing a little bit more damage. And now, surely this is Savior's game to lose. Yarnak also taking to lair now, with Savior with a massive advantage because Yarnak committed himself, getting those Zerglings out early. Savior obviously going for the extractor first, and really delayed the spawning pool. And again, perfect strategy by Savior. He could not have known what Yarnak's starting build order was going to be, but his timing was just so perfect that even in the event that Yarnak would try and push in early with those links, he was going to have the defenses out in time, and his timing was just so perfect. Just the ultimate game of balance by Savior. Savior now putting his Spire down, and Yarnak is really going to have to work hard. Both Savior looks like he put a second Hashi down as well, and Yarnak is really going to have to work hard to get back in this game. Yarnak looks like he's going to try and take his natural expo with his drone, but Savior's ahead now in economy as well as tech, and this is going to be a tough game for Yarnak to take from Savior. Again, I realize Yarnak is probably the best player that Sparkies have left, which is why they've sent him out here. I personally would have probably sent Yarnak out on Towcross versus Savior and saved Lita for this map, because Lita is a Terran player, and Terran versus Zerg is usually imbalanced on this map. Although the form Savior's in, I'm sure he would have torn Lita to shreds. But personally, I think OGN's manager has missed a trick there, and if that's OGN's manager, you can see from the grave expression on his face that he's looking at what he's seeing on the screen and he's not liking it. Savior sneaking one of his Zerglings down just to pick one of Yarnak's Zerglings, try and keep his Zergling count low, but even though Savior's boxed into his base right here, it's not going to bother him right now, because he's got the scouting information. He knows exactly what Yarnak is. Savior's sending another couple of Zerglings down, a little bit careless, losing one of his Zerglings in the process, losing a second Zergling here. I'm not sure if this is a wise move by Savior. Yarnak just microing that Zergling out of range of Savior's Zergling. Savior trying to get that Zergling. Savior sneaking a Zergling through Yarnak's blockade, and that's going to force Yarnak to pull a couple of Zerglings off the line. So Savior's just clearing his ramp away, and he's actually going to be able to go and spot Yarnak's natural expo. I'm sure he knows that's what Yarnak's done, considering he's got his overlord in position there. Yarnak now has got his Spire up as well. So this is going to come down to Mutalisk Micro between those two players. Savior just slightly behind, hasn't got any Mutalisks out yet compared to Yarnak, which is interesting to say the least. Yarnak with 3 Mutalisks out. Savior, I think, we'll see if he produces a couple of Scourges here, but Savior's got 6 larvae producing, or 7 larvae producing. I have a feeling they're all going to be Mutalisks, and Savior is going to have far more, it's going to have a lot more Mutalisks than Yarnak does. Yarnak with the 3, and he's going to be chased away, and Yarnak's just going to try and pick that Overlord, and Savior manages to save his Overlord just in time. That's why he was so eager to get that Zergling Scatter as well, because he's obviously pulled his Overlord back and was trying to conserve it, and Yarnak now is in huge trouble. This is a do-or-die game for OGN. Lose this game, and they're effectively lost the map. As it is, they're going to have a tough time anyway, and now Savior, with the advantage of the Mutalisks, with the air superiority, is able to really lay the pressure down on Yarnak, and this looks like GG right here. Savior's got about 7 Mutalisks as well as Scourges. Yarnak already has lost 1 or 2 Mutalisks to Saviors, and he's in supreme defensive mode here. He's trying to put a little bit of pressure on Savior, trying to force Savior to stay back by producing those Zerglings, but he just doesn't have enough resources to be able to do both. And Savior's now coming in. He's going to pick that drone off, trying to get those Scourges of Yarnak's taken down before, and Yarnak using Scourges to good effect there, managed to get his Scourges in. That's the best thing you can do in poker when you're 40-60. All you can really hope to do is get your money in when you're a short stack. Not 40-60, but when you're a short stack, all you can do is hope to get your money in at the right time, and Yarnak certainly got his money in there with those Scourges. Unfortunately for him, he's up against Savior's got a straight draw, a flush draw, a royal flush. Savior's got everything going for him. He's got trips, he's got a full house, and Yarnak has got no outs, I'm afraid. This is going to be GG. Savior's going to wipe the floor with Yarnak, and another commanding performance. He's just making it look so effortless. You're watching these games of StarCraft, and you're saying to yourself, surely, and Savior once again coming in with a Mutalisk harass, picking off 2 drones comfortably, forcing Yarnak back, realizing that Yarnak is forced to defend his natural expo since he doesn't have any Zerglings to speak of as well, and Savior's just going to be able to divide Yarnak's defenses and just pick away at them, taking down the Extractor as well. Obviously, that will be the only minor advantage, if anything, Yarnak is going to have. But Yarnak, Savior, not really engaging Yarnak's Mutalisk forces, because Yarnak's got a decent-sized force now. Savior doesn't want to surrender his advantage, and now finally we're going to have the concluding battle in the middle of the match. Yarnak's used up his Scourges, seems to have landed decent hits, but Savior's kept his Scourges alive, and Yarnak... and it's hard to tell who's got more Mutalisks and who's going to come out on top of this battle. Even if Yarnak does come out on top, I think he's going to be really struggling, and he isn't really going to come out on top. Both players with reinforcements, and Yarnak realizing that he's committed here, that there's no running, there's no hiding, and he's going to get taken out. Savior's Mutalisk Micro, spreading those Mutalisks around in a curve around Yarnak's to avoid splash damage. Brilliance by Savior that he's able to do that in the middle of that fight, while also taking down Yarnak's natural expo with his Zerglings, and those 5 Zerglings are just going to pound away. Yarnak bringing the 1 Mutalisk, just try and slow Savior down a little bit. It's hopeless, really, considering how badly outnumbered he is in the game, and that natural expo is going to go down anyway and seal Yarnak's fate here. But as I was saying, Savior has just made this look so effortless. It's just like he's not even trying. And the other guys have got to be thinking to them, oh my god, he can't be this good again. He cannot be. And I think any StarCraft player right now watching this who's going to be in Savior's path, who's going to be... I know players like to pick strong opponents in the round of 16 when they have the choice, but I don't think anyone's going to be rushing to pick Savior in the round of 16 if they have a choice to. And if they do, they'll only have themselves to blame when Savior crushes them underfoot. Really commanding 3-0 from Savior here against 3 different opponents on 3 different maps. And he hasn't looked... Forget about in trouble. He hasn't even looked like he's needing to try. It's just insane. Savior's tactical decision making, his strategy, his micro. It's just perfection personified. I do hope though that CJ don't over rely on Savior, that they don't overuse him, that they let him stay fresh and let him stay focused and hungry. Because the last thing we want is Savior in this kind of form slumping out again. I want Savior to dominate for another 2 seasons and Yarnak GG's. CJ take the series 4-1. Iris taking the first match and Savior cleaning up. I think Savior has every right to be arrogant, every right. And I don't think it's arrogance, I think it's part of his strategy. He's just throwing his opponents off his game. If we look at what his opponents tried in each of those games, and now I've hit upon it, finally it's occurred to me, in each of those games his opponents felt the need to do something extra special. And Savior, I think, has gotten into their minds and has just completely foobarred their thinking process. Yarnak pushing in with the Zerglings, trying to catch Savior off guard. We had Type B again doing the same thing, trying to catch Savior off guard, and we had Lita putting that Rax in the middle, trying to push in early against Savior, and each time Savior has been up to the task. playing some really solid StarCraft. He has been a wall. His defense has been perfect. His Sublime, his micro has just been top of the notch, and his strategy has been that of a mind reader and of a time traveler. Savior composes another symphony, folks. I hope you enjoyed listening to it. This is Klazart. Thanks for listening. What a great series.